I want to start off by giving all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, his brother Nakamaya.
This brother Pagaya Allah.
Come on, and we gonna kick off this live. We titled it "Stay Rooted." Right? We want to stay rooted in this truth. You want to have a strong foundation. You want to be strong in this thing. You don't want to be pushed aside easily. You want to stay rooted in this truth. I'm gonna kick it off with a precept. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 3. And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell on upon stony places where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up because they had no deepness of earth. Right. So if you're not being rooted, it starts with a good foundation. So if you don't have a good foundation, you might fall by the wayside, which is just like a walking path, a place where seeds aren't supposed to be. You might fall in a stony place, as the scriptures say, right, where seeds can't prosper, and you won't have a good roots. The roots might try to stick on something that they aren't supposed to stick onto, and it's not going to produce and yield good fruit. And the plant might dry up, it might get choked up, as it reads on the scriptures. I'm gonna keep reading on. It's verse 5. Some fell upon stony places where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. Right? They didn't have a good foundation. And that's how it is. That's why it's important when brothers teach. You have to teach with sincerity, and you have to be what's the word I want to use? You have to be careful on how you teach. You can't just say anything. You might offend somebody. You might not teach somebody the right way. You might say something that might stray them away. So you have to teach in sincerity, and you have to be careful. You have to be wise on how you teach people. You can't just say anything screaming at people. You got to know what you're doing, because you're going to have some people that won't get a strong foundation. They won't have good roots, right? I'm gonna read on in verse 7. It says, And some fell among the thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But other fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. Right? So you have people, brothers and sisters that are in truth right now, that are sincere, keeping the commandments, that are fasting, repentant, and praying. They fell on good ground. And now they're rooted up. They have strong roots, they're in good soil and things like that. So they bring forth good fruit. Like I said, 160 and some 30-fold. Right. So you got it up.
Yeah, Khan, that's a mighty point. And also, like you read on, even some fall, even when you look at plants and different things of that nature, even when you start to grow it, you start to water it, it grows just a little bit, right? And then from there, you got to keep watering it. But it hasn't really fully reached its full potential, right? So meaning that just because you growing or just because you in the truth doesn't mean that you can fall out. You can be plucked out, right? And that's because your foundation is what's important. The soil, even when you look at it on a cardinal level, the soil, right, where you plant the seeds, how much sunlight, all these different things, right? It's about the foundation, right? So I got a quick precept in the book of First Corinthians chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at verse 10. And it reads, according to the grace of God, which is given unto me, as a wise master builder, meaning what? That the Most High has given us that spirit to get builded up in this truth, right? And it says as a wise master builder. And a master builder looks at every little detail. How much inches, right? How much measurements, how much resources, everything of that nature. Right? How much more in this truth? Right? I'm gonna read on. It says, I have laid the foundation, and another buildeth thereon. But let every man take heed how he buildeth thereupon. Meaning you gotta pay attention of how this truth, right? Just because I'm in the truth, right? You know the precept, you start getting builded up. That doesn't mean that you can that doesn't mean that you can't wither away, right? And you got different doctrines, right? All different things that can take you away from the truth. Right, let me read on. Verse 11, it says, "For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Hamashiach Yahushai," meaning that your foundation, of course, has to be set upon the Most High God, but especially Yahushai. Because Yahushai, like it says in the book of Ephesians, greatly paraphrasing the book, chapter 2, I think it's verse 20, that Yahushai is that chief cornerstone. Right? So if you got any other foundation, man can build up a foundation on another God, another doctrine. I mean, it's going to get you nowhere. Right? I'm going to read on. It says, "Now if any man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, doctrines, leaning unto your own understanding." Right? I'm going to read on. It says, "Every man's work shall be made manifest," meaning that everything that you're building upon, the Most High God is gonna pull your card in a sense. It's gonna bring that work to light, kind of like in the book of Genesis, the first chapter. That light is to show the works of the Most High God, right? So at the end of the day, if your foundation isn't rooted in Yahweh Shai, that foundation is gonna be brought to naught. Right? The Most High God is literally gonna bring it to light and then see whether that foundation is true. Right? Let me read on. Right? And it says in verse 13, "Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what it is." Meaning the Most High God at the end of the day, if you're not sincere and you're building on a different foundation, he's gonna pull your card. You can't hide and secretly build on a different foundation. You secretly building, right? You know about your you know about Yahweh Shai, but you secretly behind closed doors building on another foundation. The Most High God is gonna pull it, is gonna destroy it. It's gonna bring it to fire. What does fire do? It purifies it, right? Or it can just melt it. If something don't get purified, it literally just gets melted and it gets casted away. Right? So you got it, King.
Oh, that's a mighty point. Let me get this precept real quick. This is Job chapter 18, verse 16. It says, "His roots shall be dried up beneath, and above shall his branch be cut off." So, like the brother said, your roots can dry up, right? You could be built up, but you can still get plucked out. You can not be taken care of. You cannot be watered, right? If you don't continue to drink that spiritual water and take care of yourself, take care of your like your mental and your spiritual and things like that, you're gonna be dried up just like the root. And like the brother said, you start you start dibbling dabbling in other things, you start going after other doctrines, and now you crept in unawares, you being deceitful now because you're preaching one thing but you believe another thing. Now you lying to people, right? So you not being in a strong foundation, not taking care of the soil that you're built in, where you came from, and not being consistent and things like that. Your roots are gonna dry out. You're gonna be plucked up, right? It says, "His remembrance shall perish from the earth, and he shall have no name in the street. He shall be driven from light into darkness and chased out of the world." And you're gonna be that, that's plain. You're gonna be chased from the light into the darkness, right? You had that light at one point. You had that those good fruits at one point. Now they're all spoiled. Nobody wants to come and see that tree. You got people when people go and they go out on when they go out to the park and stuff, nobody wants to go sit under the nasty tree with the dead branches and all the termites are in there and things like that. People want to go sit under a good tree, like a cedar tree or something that has a lot of shade, right? And they don't want to even when people harvest wood to build stuff, they want to pick a good tree. They don't want to just pick any type of dirty tree, right? I'm gonna read on. He says, "He shall He shall neither have son nor nephew among his people, nor any remaining in his dwellings. They that come after him shall be astonished at his day, as they that went before were affrighted. Such surely such are the dwellings of the wicked, and this is the place of him that knoweth not God." Right? And we seen it happen to brothers. You could be a mighty teacher, mighty prophet, mighty whatever your office is, 10 toes down to the truth, and now you don't even believe in God anymore. Some people just think they're aliens, or your mind gets all destroyed, and the Lord set a strong delusion on you, like I said in Isaiah the 66th chapter. Right? Let me go back to the book of Matthew, chapter I'm gonna stay in the book of Matthew chapter 13, and I'm gonna read on in verse 18. It says, "Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one, and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which receives seed by the wayside. But he that receive the seed in stony places, the same is he that heareth the word and anon with joy receiveth it." So you might hear it, you might have heard a debate or something, you might have heard something that really, not saying the debates aren't profitable, but you might have heard something that interests you for a second, but it wasn't really enough to pull you into the truth. You didn't get the sincere meaning of it. You might have been watching a video and saw a sister sitting in the background and be like, "Oh yeah, I gotta hop in this thing." And some people really think like that. They might have saw a staff and was like, "Oh yeah, I like that staff." You weren't in it for the right reasons, right? It says, "Yet hath he no root in him, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended." So right when they get real out there, you thought it was just about getting on the Edomites. You thought it was just about yelling at the other nations and screaming to the top of your lungs. And then when you see the prophecies really kick off on how they're really going to try to destroy us, like it's saying in John the 16th chapter, that um that they're going to try to destroy us, and they think they're doing the service of the Most High. So these things are going to happen. These things are going to happen, but if you aren't really rooted, you're going to run. And the day of adversity, you're going to run. You're just going to take flight. We've seen people do it. We argued with people down the harbor, debated people, and they got cut, and they literally ran down the harbor and never stopped running. And that's what some people are going to do. They're going to never look back. This is verse 22. "He also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word and becometh unfruitful." Right? Then now you in it for the wrong reasons. Right now, and you got too much stuff in the world. Right? You can't let it go. Like in Matthew the 19th chapter, we always bring out the rich man that Yahweh Shah was talking to. He didn't want to let go of his worldly things. He wanted to hold on to those things. Let me get that real quick. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 19, and I'm gonna get straight to the point. Verse 21. It says, "Yahweh Shah said unto him, If thou wilt be perfect, go and sell thou hast and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. But when the young man heard the saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions." Some people hear the truth, but they can't let go. They can't let go of the world. But I got it too good. They can't. They're scared. They don't want to be seen. Some people really didn't want to be seen. They didn't want to be out there on camera. They was like, "I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to be out here. I can't do this. It's too much of a sacrifice." Some people are really like that. One more verse, and it says, verse 23, "But he that receives seed into good ground is he that heareth the word and understandeth it, which also bear fruit and bringeth forth some an hundredfold, some 60, and some 30-fold." Right? Like I said, you got the people that actually hear the word, they're sincere, the Most High called them, they heard the voice of Yahweh Shah, like in John, the 10th chapter, and they believe. And now they're doing it sincerity. They might have been true for a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. They're built up. They're rooted in this truth. They're unmovable. Right? You got it up.
Con. Where I got a quick precept. Like and going into that as well, like, you know, roughly paraphrasing what you just read, it said those that heard the word fell into good ground, but also brought forth fruit.
Right.
Meaning that just because, once you're the truth, you gotta bring forth fruit to the most high. Right? It's about your works and the labor that you put in this truth. Right? So and there's sincerity. Right? Because you can bring forth fruit. You can go out and teach, but it's about how sincere you are. Right? Not make a video about everything. Be damn what's it, a pop star in this truth. R&B. Like, I mean, that's madness. Every YouTube, I mean, come on. Right? I got a quick preset. This book of Job, chapter 8. Let's start at verse 11. The rest of this Job chapter 8 and verse 11. It says, "Can the rush grow up without mire? Can the flag grow without water? Right? Can all the bare necessities, right, and the foundation of plants and trees and all things of that nature, can they grow without the soil, without water? Right? It says, while it is yet in its greenness and not cut down, meaning that when it's still flourishing, meaning when you're still growing in this truth, right? You're in your greenness. You still praying, you're still reading, right? You in the greenness of this truth. You still got the understanding, right? And you're growing, right? It says whether it's like it whether it before any other herb. It says, so it withereth before any other herb. So meaning just while you're getting this understanding, right? Just somebody could be the mightiest teacher, may know 1,000 breakdowns, 50,000 precepts. Right? You yet you're flourishing, right? The most high God is using you to flourish. But in that same time, the most high God can cut you down. Right? And it's that quick, right? I'm gonna read on. It says, so are the paths of all that forget God, and the hypocrites hope so like shall perish. Meaning that I mean, you read it throughout the scriptures, right? How the most high God feels about a hypocrite. Right? So if your intentions in this truth is impure, then the most high God is gonna cut you down. Just because you get brought into this truth doesn't mean you're saved. You gotta endure. All these plants, there's so many plants that people man plants and they start to grow and they just get cut down. They get eaten up. Right? The same plant, something may be growing. Same way it can get taken out. Right? I'm gonna read on. It says, whose hope shall be cut off, and whose trust shall be as a spider's web. And when you look at a spider's web, I mean, a full-on spider web, the spider, that's real elaborate, right? So to say, right? You got this way, go across this way, and go this way, right? There's a lot of building and a lot of the spider got to do. But the same way, if you're not sincere and your foundation isn't set in this truth on Yahweh Shai, right? Then it's so easy to get rid of a spider web. A spider web can get this through wind, right? It's so breakable. Even though it took so much to damn build, the spider damn building for damn days, and then all for someone to just to walk by, be like, "What the hell is that?" And then just like that, that spider web is gone. Nobody said, "Damn, look at this spider web. I'm gonna try to put it back up, man. I'm gonna try to be this spider and then make a web." But you just keep moving on, but nobody regards the destroyed spider web, right? Verse 15. It says, he shall lean upon his house, but it shall not stand. Right? He shall hold it fast, but it shall not endure. Right? And the same way with the spider, right? It's the same way with a house. There's a lot of building and a lot of construction, a lot of measurements, a lot of things that go into building a house. And you think that you may be leaning upon it, but if you're not rooted up, right? If you don't got that faith, and the same you thought you were doing, you were leaning upon, while you this truth can be destroyed. Right? I'm gonna read on. He is green before the sun, and his branch shooteth forth in his garden. Meaning that, like I said earlier, you may be flourishing, right? And you can be bringing in fruit. You can be teaching. You can be sealing up the elect, doing everything you can in this truth. But even though just because you may, I mean, a lot of people think that you reach your full potential. There's no full potential in this truth, man. Right? The Most High God can always add more wisdom, more understanding. Right? Nobody reaches, even Yahweh Shai never reached his full potential when he was on earth. Right? He was without. Right? I'm gonna read on. It says his roots are wrapped about the heap and seeth the place of stones. So, like we going into, right, being rooted, if your roots and right, your foundation isn't upon that rock, isn't upon your Yahweh Shai, right, you can grow, but that doesn't mean you're gonna go anywhere. Right? You gotta be full on rooted and you gotta be getting water. You gotta be in this word. You gotta be constantly trying to improve day by day. Right? You got it, King.
Come. All right. And the brother the mom put the precept in the chat. I'm gonna We read verse 16. I'm gonna read verse 14 for him. It say, his confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him to the king of terrors. It shall be, it shall dwell in his tabernacle, because it is none of his. Brimstone shall be scattered upon his habitations. His roots shall be dried up beneath, and above shall his branch be cut off. Right there, the Most High, it can pluck you right out of this thing. Pluck you right out. And back in the world, I had this job where we where I was it was like basically landscaping. And sometimes I would have to pick the weeds by my hand. And if you got the weed by the root in that area, you wouldn't see them no more. It was easy. They was gone. They really didn't come back too often. But if you didn't pluck it correctly and there was still some root left, they would grow right back. Right. So you can have your roots completely plucked out, or it could just be cut off a little bit. You could be torn down, but you could still grow back up. Right. When you see a tree, it's hard to, if you have a tree, by yourself, it's damn near impossible to pull that tree out. Even a bush, like those roots are strong in the ground if they're planted correctly, right? You don't really see those trees falling over too often, especially like in the woods or something. You don't see trees falling off from the root, right? It is hard to pull that root out. So you gotta have, if it's rooted correctly. But if it's not, then it's easy to fall off. It's easy to break dead branches than and it's harder to break lively branches, right? So we continue to receive that spiritual water, right? And then you'll meet the king. And then if you're not sincere and you just going off, you're gonna meet the king of terrors. That the brother Dewan pulled out a precept. I pulled up the word root in the Hebrew. Let me read this real quick. If it's pronouncing this correctly, it's Shares is H8328, and it says root of people involving firmness or permanence, right? Firmness or permanence. You want to be, roots are supposed to be permanent. When you come into this truth and you're built on a foundation, you obviously grow. You might learn something from somebody and you're not really sure what's going on. They might have not explained it correctly, but you have that foundation of roots. Like we always teach, believe in the Most High, believe in Yahweh Shah, keep the commandments, love your brethren. Those are roots. Those are something you say. Pretty much every camp congregation teach those things. Almost every single camp teach those things. To believe in the Most High, believe in Yahweh Shah, keep the commandments, love your brethren. Those are good things to be rooted on. But if you're rooted on have the best staff, who could be the best dancer, who got the strongest beard, you're gonna that those aren't good roots. That isn't good soil. You're just gonna fall off because you're just gonna be in the world. It's basically like trying to be a celebrity, like the brother said, or whatever, a celebrity or a damn YouTube, I don't a streamer, like
That
yeah,
rap.
damn rapper. It's not about that, right? It's about being sincere. Let me get this in Job chapter 14, and I'm gonna start at verse 7. It says, "For there is hope of a tree, if it be cut down, that it will sprout again, and that the tender branches thereof will not cease." See, just how we always talk about how a just man falls 7 times, a tree can be cut. You could cut a tree off, but if it still has the roots, it can still grow back up. If brothers know how to plant things, flowers and fruits and things like that, if you have dead branches and you pull the dead branches off, you might not be able to see the roots anymore, but next season it's going to grow right back up as long as you leave the root in the ground. So it could be cut off, you could fall and things like that, but you can still grow back up. But some people, they fall and just don't want to grow. They want to stay down. They pluck their own. Some people pluck their own roots up and forsake the truth, rip off their garments, rip off their fringes, and just go back into the world. Right? I'm gonna read that again. It says, "For there is hope of a tree, if it be cut down, that it will sprout again, and that the tender branch thereof will not cease. Though the root thereof wax old in the earth, and the stock thereof die in the ground, yet through the scent of water it will bud and bring forth boughs like a plant. But man dieth, and wasteth away. Yea, man, give about the ghost, and where is he? Right? You turn him back into that old man who's just going to die. You're just going to give up the ghost. That's what's going to happen to people. And you want to be like a strong tree. We're always likened up to trees in the Bible. Let me get the book of Psalm, chapter 92. We always read this on the Sabbath, a psalm for the Sabbath. Let me read this in Psalm 92. It says, "The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree; he shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon." Right? A cedar is a very strong tree. It's a very big tree. Also, it's hard to knock down. You need some type of machinery to knock it down. You can't just go knock it down with your bare hands. You want to be like a cedar tree, right? It says, verse 13, "Those that be planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of our God. They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. They shall be fat and flourishing." So that's how you want to be. You want to be rooted and planted in the house of the Lord. If you're planted in the folly, planted on who's going to win the next Super Bowl, that's your whole life. Not to say that you can't watch it or things like that, but if that's your whole life and you going to the games, painting your body, whatever team you like, and got eagles across your chest, and got the little foam hat and the helmet on, and you do that every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You don't keep the Sabbath. You only an Israelite sometimes. You're gonna be plucked up. You don't have a strong foundation. You don't have a strong foundation. You don't know what you believe in. You have a demon on you. So let me read that one more time. It says, "The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree; he shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Those that be planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of our God. They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. They shall be fat and flourishing." And that's a mighty point that even in your old age, if you had good roots, you're still going to bring forth good fruit. It's not like the brother said, you're not going to be stagnant. You're not going to be 20 years in the truth. You're like, "Oh, I don't know what to do anymore," and just go back and just go back into the world. You're going to be uh bringing forth that fruit. But you got it out.
Yeah, Con. And actually, I was going into the cedar tree. Right, the cedar tree, like you said, is a very strong tree. I'm gonna read some of the character. It's all spiritual. I mean, and if you really got a spiritual mind and you look at these different things, I mean, it's very spiritual when you read and you look at it, different, even the beasts, right? The different trees and things of that nature, right? So I'm gonna read some characteristics about a cedar tree. It says, a cedar is a large tree that typically grows in a pyramidal shape. Cedar tree leaves stay green year round. So meaning they never wither away. That's spiritual, right? The tree is constantly green. And like I read earlier in the book of Job, it said even though in its greenness, right, it withers away. So meaning that you constantly gotta be on fire. You gotta stay ravished with the word. Right? I'm gonna read on. All right, let me read some of this here. It says in some female trees and the species form cones. Cedar tree bark is reddish. Hold on, there's one that I wanted. Right, it says young cedar trees become more spare as they grow. They are dense until the crown evolves into a column shape. Branches on a cedar are thick and close together, with short and thick bristles, with leaves that do not fall. I mean, that's crazy. It's a huge tree. It's always green. It's always on fire. The leaves, right? And when you go into the leaves, right, that can go into knowledge, right? Wisdom, understanding, right? It said they never fall. I mean, that tree is always on fire. 'Cause the leaves are constantly there, right? You got to constantly have your understanding, right? You constantly got to endure, right? Be on fire, read, right? Understand the precepts, right? I'm gonna read a little bit more. It says, right, that's it on that, right? So let me get a quick preset. All right, let me get a quick preset. So like it. That. Okay, in the book of Colossians, the mighty book of Colossians. Right. So this Colossians chapter 2, we'll start at verse 6. And it reads, it says, as ye have therefore received Hamashiach Yahushua the Lord, so walk ye in him. Right? Verse 7. It says, rooted and built up in him, established in the faith. Meaning you gotta be rooted, you gotta get, like I said earlier, like you go to the book of Ephesians, the second chapter, that foundation is gotta be built upon Yahushua. Yahushua was on fire. Why wouldn't your foundation, why wouldn't you want to sit on Yahushua? Being a perfect example to be humble, to be meek, right? When to love your brother, right? Constantly all these laws and these precepts that you get and you get from understanding from Yahushua. All right, let me read on. It says, establishing a faith as ye had been taught, abounding therein with thanksgiving. Right, verse 8. Beware, right? So if your foundation isn't set upon Yahweh Shai, but we're gonna read what's gonna happen. It said, beware, lest any man spoil you through philosophy, right? In vain deceit. Meaning that if you what is that? Why did a verse prior to that talk about your foundation being upon Yahweh Shai? Meaning that if your it's going to be very different types of things and what's the word I'm looking for? Craftiness to take away that foundation, to take away Yahweh. That's why the next verse you go into it, it says your foundation got to be rooted up, built upon your Yahweh Shai. Then it says, beware of these vain philosophies that can take you away from that foundation, can destroy everything that you worked upon, labored, taught, right? Then all these different things, prayed, right, can easily be you can get give over to God knows what, right? I'm gonna read on. It says, in vain deceit, after the traditions of men. Right, and we read through that. We read about the tradition of men all throughout the Gospels, and Yahushua was getting them right. How not coincidentally, right, talking about traditions of men after Yahushua and foundation going to in the Gospel, how Yahushua was getting on them for the traditions of men. Right, I'm gonna read on. It says, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Hamashiach Yahushua. Meaning that if you said it like we can keep saying, if your foundation is set upon Yahushua, it's easy to get beguiled. It's easy for you to fall over to some lewd damn science and philosophy, man. Right, you got it, King.
Connor, we see that all the time. We see how easy people get distracted and things like that. I looked up how hard is it to uproot a tree. It says the amount of force required to uproot a tree depends on tree age, size, and the strength of the ground. Right. So like we were reading in the parables earlier in Matthew the 13th chapter, and the points brothers was bringing out is that it depends on how strong you are, and it depends on the ground that you're built on. So it's not easy to uproot a tree, but it depends based on how strong you are in the spirit. That's why we read in Psalm 83 all the time, they have to take crafty counsel against us because there's no one way to just go uproot a tree. You don't have no man just go pick up a tree and just lift it up out of the ground. They have to take crafty counsel. They might have to dig around it. They might have to find some. They got to create machinery that you never heard of before, saws that are meant to cut through rocks and things like that. Let me read this real quick. It says, for young trees and smaller rocks, upheaval forces range from tens to hundreds of newtons, and I don't even know what that means. But that's some type. That's some force. That's some amount of force that we can't even comprehend. I never even heard of that amount of measurement before. That unit of measurement. It said tens to hundreds of newtons. I don't even know what
So
the.
like it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy word. I've never heard of that. Never learned about that in my science class. But I was gonna say, even kind of going off your point. I mean, there's literal whole companies, right? Right, whole companies, whole they get all these different things just to cut down the damn tree. You got the damn wood chipper. You got to have a whole machine just to break down the tree,
Mm.
right? They got to take it out the ground, right? You got it, King.
Huh, yeah, like I said, they probably gotta dig around it, then cut into the roots, and then they can't even pull it. It says this is directions for stump uprooting. It says to decrease the force required to uproot a stump, you can split into smaller pieces, cut all the roots, or allow it to decompose. So it's basically it's the crafty counsel of these nations. They're not just gonna run up to you and say, leave the truth. No brother's gonna fall for that. It has to be crafty counsel. They gotta send some message to your phone, put some subliminal message on your damn TV screen. They gotta send a demon your way, send a agent your way. Here you are, you was dealing with I don't know, you was dealing with a hatred demon, fight your brother, and you ain't fight nobody in 20 years since you've been in truth. And out of nowhere, they sending people to try to fight you. They paying people to try to fight you. That's crafty counsel. That's how you gotta be crafty when you cutting down a tree, when you uprooting it. You can't just go straight in there with a shovel or with a damn axe you found at Home Depot, wasting time. They probably got some machines, some these saw blades that cost tens of thousands of dollars to make, right? Let me get this in the book of Daniel. So you want to be rooted, you want to be strong, you want to have a strong foundation, you want to have faith like our forefathers did. Now this is the book of Daniel, chapter 3 and verse 12. It says, there are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, we know them as Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael. It says, these men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. In Babylon, it wasn't like how it is in America today. You can serve whoever you want to do. They got the Bill of Rights, freedom of religion, things like that. He said they had God set up. I'm gonna read verse 11. It says, and whoso falleth not down and worship that he should be cast in the midst of burning fiery furnace. You're gonna be back in Babylon. If you didn't bow down to the image, you was getting burnt alive. It's not how it is today. I'm gonna jump back down to verse 13. It says, then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now, if you be ready, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made well. But if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And of who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? So that's what we was reading earlier in Matthew the 13th chapter, how some people get offended when affliction arise. They out this truth. He's giving them. He's saying, "What you gonna do when I start to put you in a furnace? Is somebody gonna save you?" And then verse 16 it says, Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. They basically saying, "We about to tell you. We about to just tell you how it is straight. We'll let you know what it is." Right? They say, "If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up." So they said, whether the Most High deliver us out the furnace or we become martyrs, we're still not serving your image. They said those are your two options. He tried to give Nebuchadnezzar tried to give them an option. They said, look, you're either gonna burn down, or you're either gonna bow down, or you're gonna burn. And they responded and said, well, I'm gonna give you two options. I'm gonna give you one option. We're not bowing down. Whatever happens, happens. That's how you gotta be. That's how your faith, that's how strong your faith has to be. That's how rooted your mind, that's how disciplined you have to be in its truth. Somebody gives you an ultimatum to not serve the Lord, you give them an ultimatum right back and tell them, look, there's no options. I'm serving the Most High. Do what you got to do. That's how strong you want your faith to be, right? And then as we read on, we know that the Most High saved them out of that affliction because they stood 10 toes down, and they really believed it. They didn't just say that. They didn't say that and then start shaking and they start sweating. And was like, I hope he believed. It wasn't a poker face. It wasn't a bluff. They really believed that. They really stood down. They said, I'm not serving that God. That's how you gotta be. Let me get one more in the book of Daniel, chapter 6, and I'm gonna start at verse 7. It says, all the presidents of the kingdom of the all the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save O thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. So they were making unrighteous decrees, like it says in Isaiah the 10th chapter. It says, if you don't, if they're bowing down to anybody else, they're going to be cast into the lions den, right? It says, now, O king, establish the decree and sign a writing that it be not changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which alter not. That's how it is now. That's literally how it is now. Things are getting signed. Things are getting, and if you don't bow down, things might happen to you. They're going to use force against you. The brothers know what we're talking about. We only got to speak about it, right? It says, wherefore King Darius signed the writing and a decree. Now, when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, see, this how mighty Daniel was. This how rooted he was in his faith. It says, now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God as he did it 4 times. It said his windows was open. He did it 3 times a day. The sun was probably up, things like that. He wasn't hiding the fact that he was going to serve his God. See, people might have wouldn't try to went into the closet and was trying to act like they wasn't praying, and the king's guard walk in, and they're like, "What you doing on that floor?" And you was like, "Oh, I was looking for my contacts. I was scared. I dropped something." Daniel was like, "No, I'm praying." He's praying to before his God. Right? He wasn't scared. It says, then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and made supplication before his God. Right? I'm gonna jump down to verse. I'm gonna jump down to verse. Let me see what verse I'm on.
While you're getting there, but I'm not, and I'm led to believe, I mean, say he had his windows open. Daniel was a mighty man, right? This is a man of old. This is of ancient times, and I'm led to believe he didn't give a damn. I mean, he's probably yelling the name of the Lord, just praying. He didn't. He wasn't. He didn't start whispering, right? Secretly, You know what I mean? And a lot of men do that now, right? They fear man and they fear the not the Most High, right? Secretly doing things behind closed doors, right? You say you believe in the Lord, right? You know the name of the Lord and the name of His Son, right? And our King, and you secretly doing things behind closed doors. That's why the no, Most High gonna pull your car. You secretly, what they call that damn secret mode secretly watching this video, then doing this, right? The Most High God is beholding those things. Got it, King.
God, right? And I found a verse I wanted. I'm gonna just read on real quick, then I'm gonna jump down. It says, then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decrees. This is verse 12. It says, hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, this is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which alter not. Right? So it was 30 days. Now Daniel wasn't scared. He didn't wait 30 days. He went immediately. Right? This was day one. This wasn't this wasn't day 29, day one. He says, then answered they and said before the king that Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, nor decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. So he broke their law 3 times a day. When it was 3 times a day when they found it. It was probably more. I mean, that's all that's recorded. It could have been more. We're not sure, but it says he regardeth not thee. That's being rooted. That's standing 10 toes down. That's being real up there. Not oh, I'm gonna go bow down to your image just for I'm gonna just do it for 30 days. Then you go read Psalms 136. I know the Lord mercy endure forever. He's not gonna be mad because he'll understand. He's not dealing with that. He's not dealing with some scared spirits. Like, I'm gonna just go do it for 30 days and I'm gonna go repent. That's not that's if if you feel like you gotta if you feel like they make a 30-day decree as to where you can't serve your God and you're gonna go a whole month without serving the most high, you're not rooted up. Oh, it's just I'm being wise as a serpent. No, you're being a coward. That's what you're being. All right, I'm gonna jump down to verse 16. It says, Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said to Daniel, Thy God, whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. So he's sitting there mocking them, right? But then I'm gonna get down to the point. Verse 21. Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My God hath sent his angels and have shut the lion's mouth, that they have not hurt me, for as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. Right? Because Daniel was a righteous man. He was rooted up, he fell on good soil, he was brought up in the truth. You can't find an account of Daniel going off of being a wicked man. And there and even when he faced affliction, he still served the most high. Some people face affliction and they go away. They let their angers get they let their emotions get the best of them, and they're angry and say, you're not Jake." They say, "Man, I don't give a f about nothing," and then they just go out and do all type of wickedness because they had a bad day. Right? You're supposed to have bad days, but you got it.
Con, I got quick precepts. I like it. In the book of Second Timothy, chapter 3, and verse 13, it says, "But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse." Meaning that, like we keep going into, if you're not rooted up, you're slowly gonna wax worse and worse, right? And it takes time. The same way that it takes time for a plant to grow up and a tree, it takes time for a lot of water may go through, right? It's getting the right nutrients. It takes time for it to eventually start to lose the water, right? I mean, some plants can hold water for days, weeks, right? So it takes a long time sometimes for you to just start waxing worse, right? I'm gonna read on. It says deceiving and being deceived. So not only are you damn deceived, not only you can get plucked up. Now you're doing the deceiving. Now you just Satan's. You know what, man? You Satan's. You Satan's slave, man. Right now you throwing the seeds and you doing the labor for Satan. Right, you the one doing things that are, now you once, what I'm saying, labored, right, and get built up in the truth. But now, once you get plucked up, and you the one being deceived, and you doing the deceiving. Right, I'm gonna read on.
So like real quick point. It's
Done.
brothers. I can attest. It's brothers that was that was in the truth. They was like that. They was murmuring behind. They was trying to come up to people, whisper while while other brothers teaching. They on the side trying to whisper in your ear, saying all type. It was Satan. I'm just leave it at that.
Right. Yeah, that's madness. That's madness. Right. I'm gonna read on. Verse 14. It says, "But continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and has been assured of." And it said, and has been assured of, meaning that you gotta confidently believe and have faith that this is the foundation that you plan to build upon. Right. And a quick point earlier too, falling worse and worse, it starts with the little things. Right. You slowly, like I said, it's a process. You slowly start to right, entertain and go into this doctrine, right? You tell yourself, it's not that bad. I'm just gonna watch this video. You know what? It's okay. I'm gonna take notes on this video. Now you know. Next thing you know, you got a whole notebook full of wicked breakdowns. Matter of fact, right? I believe that's in the book of Sirach, right? Right, condemning small things. All right, in the book of Sirach, chapter 19. Yeah, the book of Sirach, chapter 19 and verse 1 says, "A laboring man that is given to drunkenness shall not be rich." Right. Even on a physical level, if you were laboring, right, you gotta, if you're trying to make, ends meet, you got a job, but you always damn drunk, right? You're gonna end up, you're not gonna get what you know what I'm saying? You're gonna fall out. right? It says, shall not be rich, and he that condemneth small things shall fall by little and little, right? And those small things that you think isn't important, that you slowly giving yourself over to, you're slowly gonna fall out. Like I said, you slowly start to entertain this doctrine. You slowly entertain watching this video, right? And like earlier in the precept, in First Corinthians, the third chapter, it said wood, stubble, all those things, right? That you lay upon this is random things, right? Those are little things that you're condemning and that can easily destroy your foundation, man. Right? Let me read on. Back in the book of Second Timothy, chapter 3, and verse 14, it says, but continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and hast been assured of, knowing of whom thou hast learned them. Right? Knowing that you gotta remember the things that you learn. Right? Nobody no, you don't teach a child how to walk. Next thing you know, they're doing backflips. They're doing backflips, jumping off the house, right? Riding a bike out of nowhere. They got your keys, starting your car up, taking your car out. No, they learn, they listen right, and they start following after the instruction that you gave them, right? So meaning that if you once you have this foundation set up, right, and you start to go after, and even though you may think in your, that's how you know it, you know what I'm saying, you slowly gonna fall because you start convincing yourself, or you have doubt, then that doubt leaves you, right? Then you slowly thinking to yourself, you know what, it really isn't that bad. I never knew that. I never knew that before. Right? Then you start to get into it. Right? Then you buy a random purple and yellow book out of God knows where. Now you flipping the pages, you can't even sleep. Right? You entertaining these different things, you're gonna fall at the end of the day. You're gonna get plucked up. Right? You got it, King.
Come. And let me get the precept for the brother Dewan. It said they put in the chat. It's Galatians chapter 1, verse 10. It says, for do I now persuade men or God? Or do I seek to please men? For if I yet please men, I should not be the servant of Hamashiach. You don't want to be like we always say, you don't want to be a man pleaser. You don't want to do your work just to show off for somebody else. Your work has to be sincere. What you do behind closed doors, like brother say, having integrity. You don't want to just be doing it to make a best friend. Say that's my best friend, and I want to impress him. Right? Let me get this precept in the book of Sirach, chapter 5, and I'm starting verse 9. It says, winnow not with every wind, and go not into every way, for so doth the sinner that have a double tongue. And you can see people like that. You can see people that you try to teach them things, and their mind is literally all over the place. There's some people you might know from the world, you might your own family members, things like that, and you try to teach them the truth, and they be like, yeah, 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 I agree with that, but then I also agree with this, but then I also you can't do that. You can't agree with everything. Everything doesn't coincide. You can't just be agreeing with everything. And I know, and I've heard of somebody on a live one time. He said, "I'm an Israelite and I believe in the Quran and Christianity." I said that makes zero sense because they all contradict each other. That makes absolutely zero sense. He was he was I don't even know where to start. He was a Christian Israelite Muslim. That's what he was. He said, "I believe you got to read every." Well, that's why I'm not even going to continue on that. I'm gonna read. Read the next verse. It says, "Be steadfast in thy understanding, and let thy word be the same." Yeah, it doesn't mean you go out and teach. Yeah, don't go out and teach one thing, and then you're gonna teach next week. I'm gonna just switch it up. I taught this one way, but I'm gonna break it down this way the next, and it's completely different. You're just confusing them. Let me pull up because I think I had it earlier. Let me pull up the definition of steadfast real quick. Right, this steadfast. It says, uh, firm and unwavering. So that's what you want to be. You want to be firm and unwavering, right? It says firm in belief, determination, or adherence. Loyal. Don't be loyal. Be loyal to the Most High. Just being a traitor. Just a traitor. Being loyal to you'll be loyal to your brother. I never do that to him. I never steal his shoes. I never talked to. I never try to steal his girl. You do that stuff in the world. I brought
Never
his.
snitch.
Yeah, right. Yeah, never snitch. I brought his lighter back. You do all this type of stuff and wickedness, but you won't be loyal to the Most High. Let me see if I can pull that. Because I had that etymology also. Let me pull this up real quick.
So like a quick precept while you pull that up,
Go ahead.
right? First Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 58. It says, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the word. And it says unmovable, right? You don't want to be the damn brother where, right, you just all over the place, brother. Right, you over here, you over there, right? You teach this doctrine here. 2 months later, it's a new doctrine. And a whole year passed by, and it's a three other doctrines. Right? You don't want to be a brother that's just all over the place, man. You want to be unmovable, right? This is always abounding in the work of the Lord. I mean, you always want to be increasing, and that doesn't mean you know what I'm gonna read this fat orange book, right? And I'm gonna abound, right? No, it says abounding in His truth, right? I'm gonna read on. It says, for as much as you know that our labor is not in vain in the Lord. Right, you got it, Ken.
Come. I'm gonna read on in Sirach chapter 5, verse 10. It says, be steadfast in thy understanding, and let thy word be the same. Be swift to hear, and let thy life be sincere, and with patience give answer. Right? You want your life to be sincere. That's one of the main ways to stay rooted if you're being sincere. Because if you're being fake, you're being phony, that's what you don't even know what you believe anymore. You're being reprobate, you're being double-minded, you don't even know what you're believing because you're not sincere. And I had steadfast, the etymology, it says unshaken, stubborn, resolute, firm, and fixed in purpose, faith, right? So you want to be unshakable. You want to be stubborn in righteousness. You want to be stubborn and righteous. Somebody you kind of when you get into the truth and you're rooted and in good soil and you're built up, you literally become a madman to other people. You literally become crazy. That's how rooted you should be. That you don't care that people view you as crazy. When we at work and we got the holiday things, they walk around. What was it? Valentine's Day. They putting candy on everybody's desk. I took the candy. They put a card. I took the candy in the card right in front of everybody, and I threw it right in the trash. They was like, "No, let me get that." I said, "No, it's not happening. I'm not." And I was like, "Don't touch my trash can. Leave it. Leave it there. That's where it's mine. I wanted it there. I threw it in the trash." That's how crazy you should be to other people. That's how steadfast you should be in this truth. Everyone's like, "Man, why you do that?" And I was like, "I didn't want it. I threw it right in the trash. I don't do that. I don't celebrate Valentine's Day." Now you don't have to go to your workplace and just start yelling at your boss and things like that. But when it comes to certain things, when you have principles and you have morals and things like that, you're just not gonna let anything slide. I'm not coming up to not any grown man is not just gonna come up to me and just start disrespecting me in my face and things like that. And I'm just be like, oh, it's okay. No, Jake, you're not letting nobody disrespect you. You're not letting nobody call you a B. You're not letting nobody talk about your mother, your father, things like that. But when it comes to the Most High and all these wicked holidays, now I got to be a light. That's why I was at the Christmas party. That's why I was under the mistletoe because I was trying to be a light. And now you're under the mistletoe trying to be a light. You got rooted up. You're movable. In 1 Corinthians 15, it said, "Be unmovable." You're movable. Taking eggnog shots and things like that, eating a Valentine's Day cupcake, and asking Eve at your job to be your Valentine. That's not being rooted.
So like they got the little heart shaped candy says you're cute, right? And it
They all
says these freaky messages on there, man. Are you passing it around? Right? That's all.
they all got a different message on there. One say "Be mine." One just got the hard eyes or something. This is wicked. Let me get this in the book of I wanted the book of Sirach, chapter 11, and I'm gonna read verse 20. It says, "Be steadfast in thy covenant, and be conversant therein, and wax old in thy word." So you want to be steadfast in the covenant. You want to be keeping the commandments of the Most High, and not letting people just just tell you you don't. And that's what happens in Christianity all the time. People think they can't do something in your past. They be like, no, you can't do that. You can't. You can do whatever you want to do. You're getting. Some people are getting confounded. Some people been in the truth for years, calling on the name of the Lord. You got confounded one time and you just gave up. That makes zero sense to me. How you lived your life for Yahweh Hashem Yahushua for 5 years straight. And 10 minutes, you were confounded for 10 minutes. You didn't search out any matters. You didn't go ask for precepts or help. You just gave up. So you know what? That does make sense. You didn't heard the truth for 5 years straight, but in 10 minutes, you got plucked up that easy. That's because you weren't built. You weren't built up. You weren't rooted. You were one of the easy trees and plants to pluck up. Right? Let me get this in the book of Acts, chapter 7, with Stephen, right? It's the book of Acts, chapter 7, and I'm gonna start at verse 55. It says, but he, being full of the Holy Spirit, looked up steadfastly into heaven and saw the glory of the Most High, and Yahweh Shai standing on the right hand of God, and said, behold, I see the heavens open, and I see the Son of Man standing on the right hand of God. Then they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears and ran upon him with one accord. So when you believe in this truth, people are really going to run up on you, run down on you, stopping their ears. They don't want to hear you. That's what's going to happen when you're truly rooted. Stephen was truly rooted, right? And it says, verse 58, and cast him out of the city and stoned him, and the witnesses laid down their clothes at the young man's feet, whose name was Saul. So they threw him out the city, they exiled him, they stoned him, things like that. And what do you think? What do you think he did? You think he just gave up? He said, you know what? I didn't mean that. Stop. I was just joking. He didn't say I was just joking. It says, and they stoned Stephen, and calling upon the Most High, and saying, Lord Yahweh Shah, receive my spirit. Even as he was getting stoned, he's still calling upon the name of the Most High, even through the affliction. It wasn't like the root in Matthew the 13th chapter that when affliction came, he just ran off. He got scared. It says, verse 60, and he kneeled down and cried with a loud voice, Lord, lay not this sin to their charge. And when he said this, he fell asleep. And that's a sincere brother right there. Is anybody gonna get angry? Like, man, F them, forget them. They to hell with them. No, he said, no, lay not this sin to their charge, because he truly loved his people. He told them what they needed to hear in sincerity. Because if you don't really truly believe what you say, you're gonna take it back. He said, I'm not taking it back. I really want that. I want them to understand this and forgive them. That's how he was. But you got it up.
God. I got a quick precept in the book of Matthew, chapter 15 and verse 12. And it reads, it says, then came the disciples and said unto him, knowest thou that the Pharisees were offended after they heard this saying? But he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father have not planted shall be rooted up. Meaning at the end of the day, it was your lot. And it was just, you were just meant to be destroyed. You were meant to be destroyed, right? Ultimately, but you were meant to just be made as an example, to come in this truth, to bring other brothers in this truth, which is, I mean, that's a scary thing. I mean, you never know what the Most High God is using you for. That's why sincerity goes a long way. If you truly are sincere to the Most High God, you love your nation, you love the Most High God, first and foremost. Then it's a scary thing that you don't know what the Most High God is going to do with you, right? That's why you got to have faith and be rooted in this, right? I'm gonna read that part again. So every plant which my heavenly Father have not planted shall be rooted up. It says, let them alone. They be blind teachers of the blind. And kind of like we read earlier, it says deceivers and being deceived. So now you blinded, and now you're one of those teachers, one of those blind teachers that's Yahweh Shai speaking about, man. Now you're leading the sheep astray, right? Because at the end of the day, you got plucked up, man. Right? I'm gonna read on. It says, let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch, meaning that you both are going to get destroyed at the end of the day. It was just made, your lot was made just for you to fall out, just for you to get plucked up, just for you to be made as an example what not to be. And that's a just balance. But that's a beautiful just balance that the most high God has, man. Where you got men that are on fire, and then ultimately you get shown, and you get shown as an example that you can get plucked up. That's why it's about faith and works, not just works alone. And not just faith alone. It's faith and works, right? I'm gonna read that part again. It says, let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. Right? And he said, let them alone. Right? Don't partake in their folly, man. And don't partake in their seducing spirit, their different doctrines. Right? That's why you gotta be very careful what you watch, right? Different things you set your mind to. Like I read earlier, it's the small things, right? Something you may deem is not important, or it's not so bad. Show me in the law, right? I mean, once you start moving in that spirit, that's how you know you starting to lean to your own understanding, which ultimately is going to lead you to fall away, right? You got it, King.
Gone. That's a mighty point, like the brother said. Them small things, they'll get to you because small things turn into big things, right? You got small problems. Even anybody know you got a car. You keep ignoring that light. Then while you're driving, your whole engine starts smoking and blow up and things like that. Small problems. Even you got pains in your body. Your knee hurt for a little bit. And you be like, I'm gonna just let it slide. Then it turns out when it couldn't have been an easy fix, now you need a whole surgery. Like I had to go get something replaced and things like that. Small things. So you were like, I just got a couple small headaches, and you didn't realize you probably had a whole condition. You didn't even know a whole disease or something because you didn't want to go get it checked out. You didn't want to take care of those small things. All right, let me get the book of Psalm. You got any closing precepts? Well, I got like a couple.
Mhm, mhm. Nah, like, I was just gonna say quick point on what you said before we bring that precept out. Like we keep saying, it really is the small things, and even on a physical level, like you said, I mean, there's so many countless of times and accounts of people, like right before, I mean, they go to the doctor, they may condemn in whatever problem, situation, ailment, sickness they have, and then when they get to the doctor end up telling them, man, you came at the right time, because if you didn't come, you would have died.
Mhm.
So it's the same thing as truth, right? That's spiritually, it's the same thing in this truth, right? You ultimately, you condemning these things, right? Ultimately, it can lead to death, or do you spiritually die, being in the congregation of the dead, right? Falling out the truth, being plucked up. Right, you got it, King.
Real quick, one of my teammates, he's his shins was hurting, and one of his shins was hurting, and he went to the doctor, and well, he finally went to the doctor, and it was like if you didn't, they was like if you probably would have jumped and landed on this one more time, they was like your whole leg probably would have snapped because he didn't he had like micro crack, whatever they call it, like small little cracks in his shins, and he didn't know. He just thought it was like just regular pain. And they was like, if you'd have landed one more time, your whole leg would have snapped in half. That would have been the end of his basketball career. But let me get this in the book of Psalm, chapter 78, verse 5. It says, for he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments, and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that set not their heart aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with God. Right? If you don't set your heart aright, you don't get your mind right, and set your spirit and be rooted in the Most High and Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, then you're just going to be like our forefathers that had to be destroyed. It's gonna be these people are our forefathers back on the earth. The same spirits are back on the earth. So you have to be sincere. You have to have your heart right. You have to be steadfast in Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. We get two more real quick. It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 3 and verse 14. It says, for we are made partakers of Hamashiach if we hold the beginning of our confidence steadfast unto the end. Right? We are made partakers with Hamash of Hamashiach. But you got to hold fast that confidence and be steadfast in the truth. What you learn, how you're brought into the truth, what set you on fire, what lit your candle. Hold on to that. Hold on to that first love that you got. Hold on to that zeal that you got. You don't want to just let it go away because you got confounded for 5 minutes or you didn't know what was going on or because you felt right. And I got one more.
So like you can right before you get that. I actually got one more precept before you
But
get that. All right, classic. One of my favorite precepts. Right, the book of Second Timothy chapter 2 and verse 3. It says, thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Hamashiach Yahushua. And that doesn't mean, you know what I mean, you got in a fight at camp the other day. Or, you know, you got your ass whooped or whatever happened. You won. You know what I'm saying? Or that doesn't mean that no, it says in everything as a good soldier, meaning that it's a war, right? With the flesh and the spirit, right? Things of that nature, right? You got to endure all the different things as a good soldier. I mean, you got men that go to war for Esau, getting then crawling with no legs. Their legs got blown off, and they crawling on their elbows bleeding, can't even see. All for that, all for Esau. Right? I was gonna say something else, right? You can't even say it. All for Esau, right? I'm gonna read on verse 4. So no man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life. And you can't, as a good soldier, as a man of war, at the end of the like our heavenly father, right? You gotta stay focused, right? Them soldiers go through all these different programs, all this training just for them to be sharp minded and stay on the road at war. So they're constantly locked in, right? I'm gonna read on. It says that's why you can't entangle yourself, right? You can't entertain all the different philosophies, doctrines, things of this world, right? The pressures, all these different. You got to stay on that path, right? It says with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier. Because at the end of the day, the Most High God chose you to be a soldier, chose you to go through this war, to endure the afflict, to endure all the things that come with being in this truth, right? You got it, King.
Come. And I'm kind of bring out my closing precept. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 3, and I'm starting verse 10. It says, because thou hast kept the words of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Right? If you keeping the word in sincerity, being patient, and not falling away, like I said, is in Sirach, the second chapter, woe unto thee that lost patience. If you keep that patience and that truth and stay rooted in Yahweh Shem Yahweh he's going to keep you from the hour of temptation. It's verse 11. It says, behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast. You don't have time to be playing around. You have to hold fast which thou hast. That means hold on to what you have. Don't let it go. Don't let somebody pluck it up from you, right? It says, hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. Right. And if you're sincerely in this truth in the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah, you have a crown ready for you. But don't let anybody take it by confounding you on some video or somebody. You heard some guy made a YouTube video with 27 ads and it was only 10 minutes, and now you just don't believe in anything anymore. Right? Let no man take thy crown. But with that, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah, his brother Nakamaya
And brother Bagayala.
Khan. All praise to the Most High, Lord willing, you are edified. That Kwam Yashala.